سلام بخیر مهربان زیر
جناب دکتر صاحب ماندن باشید خدا بیاریتانه
ساعتان خوب است بخیر است انشالله ساعتان خوب
ماندن باشید
ساعتان خوب است
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. حضار گرامی، برادر گرامی جناب عبدالله صالح معاون اول ریاست جمهوری اسلامی افغانستان، برادر عزیز جناب احمد وزیر خارجه جمهوری اسلامی افغانستان، جناب احمد مسعود رئیس بنیاد قهرمان ملی کشور احمد مسعود شهید، جناب عزیزیار صاحب، نورزی صاحب، وزرای محترم، وکیل صاحبای محترم، شخصیت های حاضر در مجلس، اعضای محترم کور دیپلماتیک، سفرای محترم، خواهران و برادران عزیز، السلام علیکم و رحمت الله و برکاته. تشکر میکنم از وزارت امور خارجه، همکاران جناب وزیر صاحب با خودشان به خاطر دعوتی که امشب یا مراسمی که امشب ترتیب دادن. در هفته شهید قرار داریم، اتحاف دعا میکنیم بر روح همه شهدای افغانستان و در این هفته تجلیل و قدردانی میشه از کارنامه‌های شهدای بزرگ و نامدار کشور و در حقیقت ارجگذاری است به همه شهدای این سرزمین. این هفته باز مصادف است با شهادت قهرمان ملی کشور احمد مسعود شهید، شهید صلح، استاد برهان الدین ربانی شهید، اولین رئیس جمهور دولت اسلامی افغانستان. ما به همه مردم افغانستان مراتب همدردی خود و تسلیت خود ابراز می دارم، خصوصا به خانوادهایشان و خانواده های شهدا. تشکر می کنم. I want to thank distinguished ambassadors and diplomatic representatives for their participation today here. This year, the anniversary coincides with the start of the negotiations between the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan and the Taliban movement. Before getting to that, I would go a little bit back to the history of this country and talk about Shahid Massoud, Ahmad Shah Massoud. I had the honor to be with him during the Soviet resistance, during the resistance against the Soviet Union, and later on during the resistance against the Al-Qaeda and terrorist groups. Since 1985, I was with him in that front and I stayed with him throughout. Well, he's famous for the wars that he has waged, which was all in the defense of the values of the country and the dignity of its own people. What I have known about him as a close friend, very close associate, I consider him a man of peace, a very peaceful person which was caught in a war. He had no option. Then in between, when we look at the later stages of his life, during the fighting with the Taliban and during the resistance, at any stage, at any moment, when there was an opportunity, he would seize it. When the war continued, he had no choice but to resist. But when there was an opportunity, he would go and seize it. And personally, I remember too many occasions, including the one that he himself went to talk to the Taliban in the outskirts of the Kabul, to Taliban leaders, and sending delegations of ulama, sending groups to meet in the front lines, participating in the events which was arranged by the United Nations as representatives of then the Islamic State of Afghanistan, in Turkmenistan, in Uzbekistan, and too many other occasions. In each and every one, which we used to participate, he was keenly watching the situation as if there was any hope for achieving peace. So achieving peace is the materialization of the hopes of millions of Afghans, including our martyrs. They did not fight for a war, they didn't go to war for the sake of the war, but those were conditions and circumstances the country happened to be in it. But then when there was any opportunity for talking, for getting the talks started, he would not have missed it. That's how I have known him. Ambassador Massoud earlier mentioned that his famous quote that we want to have a system that we can live within and without at peace, within Afghanistan and also outside Afghanistan at peace. That was the aim. And then, of course, his ideas before the Bonn conference, before the success of the Bonn conference in 2001, in late 2001, he was not with us, of course. September the 9th was the day that he was martyred. But I remembered his words, being with him throughout. In one of his main ideas that he was emphasizing, that eventually we could have any type of arrangement to get to peace, but eventually one person, one vote which should choose the destiny of the nation. That is what I remember in his life, his struggle, his efforts, is a proof of what he was saying. Too many characters in him, and also what brought us together, apart from the politics of that time, in the struggle, in the resistance, in the situation which was there, his love of poetry and literature, which whenever there was a chance and there was an opportunity, he would set aside a few minutes and then look into the poetry books famous in our literature. And I will say a memory of mine of that, and then I will get to today's situation, which is what the people of Afghanistan expect from us as citizens of this country, and also as people responsible in our own position. At one stage, I had traveled to too many capitals of the world, mainly the Western capitals, and then there was a chance, and perhaps Ambassador Massoud might remember, I gave him a call. There was satellite connection at that time within Afghanistan, and he told me that where were you and how was your trips and what was the outcome of your trips. I mentioned the name of a few capitals, Paris, London included, and then he said that look where I was during those days while you were traveling, outside. And then he mentioned one of the most remote areas of the country, which I knew. Of course, to get there, you could only get by, there was no roads, nothing as such, either by horse or by feet. And he mentioned some of the most harshest hotels and passes that I traveled through those areas. And then he cited poetry from Hafiz, which is a Persian poet, which the meaning of it, I will say it in Farsi, so those who know the language will get the real essence of it, but I'll try my best to do a translation as well in English. خون دل و جام می هر یک به کسی دادند در دایره قسمت اوضاع چنین باشد. It meant that for somebody it is only the deepest grievances, and so on and so forth. For the other it is wine. Somebody is the depth of grievance, like the blood in the heart. For somebody it is wine. When they distribute things, that's the way that it is distributed. So in Farsi it has very intricate connotation, which is very difficult to translate it. The amount of hardship that he himself went throughout these many years, in the responsibility on his shoulders, which, if I may briefly touch upon, later on it went to, that responsibility went to ISAF, NATO, plus NDSF in those difficult days. You can imagine, because the situation was even more difficult than what it is today. We miss him, but his peaceful soul, his peaceful life, and while, as I mentioned, he was caught in the middle of a war with no end at that time in sight, but stayed peaceful with himself and with the others. That in itself is what I remember. Referring to the Bonn conference, when we had those discussions afterwards, and a delegation from Afghanistan went to Bonn to have those negotiations there. The UN was involved, the other members of the international community was involved. I remember that idea of him, that we could have different arrangements like what we had. We had the interim government, we had the transitional government provision at that time, but we were insisting from within Afghanistan that we should have elections towards the end of it. It wasn't something that was imposed, or a sort of an idea from outside which was imposed from us. We learned it the hard way, that this is the way forward. The people should determine about their future and about their destiny. A few days ago, I was in Doha. We were in Doha together with Foreign Minister Ahmad and other colleagues of us, and the members of the negotiating team from the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. I was thinking with myself while delivering my speech. I was preoccupied with the past 42 years of war and what our nation went through, and again preoccupied with the responsibility that today's generation bear in order to remove the obstacles from the path of peace and achieve dignified and durable peace. It was a good start. I want to thank all the members of the international community and partners of Afghanistan for supporting those efforts. Qatar for hosting the meetings in negotiations, which currently, as we speak, it continues. The contact group, the two sides, they get together, and luckily, so far, they have been able to find ways how to work it out and get where the people of Afghanistan expect it to be. I'm not saying that it will be easy. It will be very difficult. Lots of issues may be there or may come in front of us, which will require very difficult decisions from the Afghans altogether, all of us. But the delegation of Afghanistan went there with confidence that they have the support of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, the leaders here, all of us, and from one side, they are fully determined to make every effort to achieve peace and seize every moment and don't miss any opportunity in moving forward. From the other side, they are aware of their responsibility, representing values which the people of Afghanistan have made sacrifice for throughout many years, including the rights of the people, women's rights, human rights, the right of victims, minorities, and all of that, the right to vote, justice, and living at peace within and without, and being a partner with the international community. It is a historic opportunity to utilize it and to capitalize it. It depends on the goodwill, collective goodwill of all of us, in determination of all of us. Afghanistan will benefit from it. The region will benefit from it. In the international community will see the dividends of so many years of working together with Afghanistan in making sacrifices, in making contributions to Afghanistan and to Afghanistan's people. I value your presence here, friends of Afghanistan, neighboring countries, countries of the region and beyond, all of you, and happy to be with you. We need your support during the negotiations. Well, it has to be Afghan-led, Afghan-owned. That's an accepted principle. At the same time, hopefully, once peace materializes, we need your support for post-peace. We will never forget the contributions and sacrifices that you have made alongside the Afghan people. And also, in this day that we remember our martyrs, we remember the sacrifices of our own forces, our own citizens. And just one or two sentences before I conclude. Being in Loejerga, in leading a Loejerga for peace a few weeks back, I was struck. I was astonished, but not surprised to see that the victims, the victim which had lost her close family members, were saying that this is who I am, but peace is what I want. That's the message from the people of Afghanistan. Thank you for your patience. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.